Welcome back, everyone, to episode number 83 of the Beginner to Master Speedrun. So, I actually just recorded the episode, and before we get into the chess today, I do have some exciting news. I have officially confirmed my first event for this year. From May 6th through 15th, I will be attending the World Amateur Chess Championships in the Greek island of Kos, and I'll be going there as a coach. Now, registration is still open for players. If you are rated below 2400 FIDE and you're looking for a nice chess getaway later this year, then this event might be for you. And more information will be in the video description. It's being run by the ACO Amateur Chess Organization. They've been doing events like this since 2012. And the event itself is being held at a 5-star all-inclusive hotel. So it should be really cool. It's my first time being part of such an event. And there are a few other Grandmaster coaches, including Daniel King, who I know a lot of people follow on YouTube. So let me know in the comments if you are either going or considering going. And with that, let's get to the chess. Okay, first opponent, playing Altamir. And going for e4, straying away from my favorite London opening. And we have a Sicilian defense. Going for knight c3, bishop b5. A lot of tricky variations that can arise from this. Take on c6 and go for f4. Really regardless of what black takes back with. And this is at least one version of the Grand Prix attack. The plan is knight f3 and castle, and probably eventually queen e1. And someday attacking on the king side. Now, there are a couple different ways to play this structure from the white side. Queen h4 and f5 and attacking are very classic plans. But there's also the more positional approach with like b3, bishop b2, knight a4, try and target black's double pawns on the queen side. With rook b8, I'm kind of tempted to play b3. e5 also comes to mind. b3, bishop b2. I think this actually looks okay. I know it looks weakening at first because the knight is pinned and now less defended, but the queen defends the knight. And I'll either play bishop b2 or bishop d2, maybe even rook b1 and knight a4. Leave my bishop here. But we'll see what black does. Another point of b3 is to discourage c4, which is sometimes black's plan with having the double pawns. Pawn d5 makes sense. And I think here I kind of just want to close down the center and the diagonal. Go for pawn e5. e5 is very well supported by the pawn, the knight, the queen. And the dream would be to play knight a4 and pawn c4. From black's perspective, it probably makes sense to try and get this move in ASAP, like maybe even right away. Pawn h5. Okay, so maybe going for this and then discouraging g4. I would really like to play positionally, like knight a4. If c4, maybe just d4. And then there's bishop a3 ideas. Yeah, I think we're going to see an example of the more positional play rather than the more attacking, aggressive play on the king side. Okay, rook b5 is played, so now c4 looks really nice. Black was attempting to defend the pawn, but now rook's attacked. I don't mind the trade. Queen d4 would be off limits. And if the rook is chased to a5, the queen does defend, but I have bishop d2 here. And it looks like I'm winning material now. Rook's attacked. If rook a6, I take the pawn, keep initiative. So black sacks the exchange. Maybe the best practical try. Okay, have to watch out for c4. Kind of curious about this move. Bishop a5. And then prepare queen c3 is one idea. And there's also rook c1, there's queen e2, there's queen c1. Trying to figure out what black wants to do as well. And the threat is probably just taking. Black also wants to plant the knight here. So, I mean, one benefit with queen c1 is it prepares rook d1, which I think would be very useful. Yeah, I'm going to play queen c1. And then the other rook probably belongs on the only open file on the board. I guess I may have allowed like takes, and queen d3. I probably should have considered. But then, like, even if I lose a c-pawn, it should be okay. Okay, rook d1. Yeah, this still takes work. Also thinking queen c2. Queen c2, again, there's takes. Also thinking this and this. Interesting maneuver. Rook d1, takes. Yeah, I think I'm going to start with rook d1. Still keeping in mind these ideas. Yeah, black does have some initiative. I mean, generally when pawns are traded and files are opened, it does favor the side with more rooks, which in this case is white. But black is creeping in. And yeah, I think like bishop e1, attacking the queen. And if we trade queens, then it's an ending where my rooks will eventually come alive. I know it looks really passive, but and this is an attacking move. And I want to reposition the bishop to a happier place. And we do trade queens. Now, I think rook dc1 actually makes more sense. But there are a few options here. Because if I play rook ac1, I allow either this or even this. With rook dc1, I keep a2 defended. I think I'm pretty much guaranteed to win c5. I guess I also have this move too. So I might be a little bit spoiled for choice. But yeah, I'm going to trust my intuition. Black can't really do this because then I attack the knight and win material. So here, let's take the pawn. As rook b8 comes. And bishop f2 looks nice. I think the goal now is to target the a7 pawn. Could have maybe played rook a5 to start, but rook a5 is almost certainly coming next. And if a7 falls, then I'll have a very clear pass pawn, very clear path to victory. So can black generate enough counterplay? That is a double attack. Let's play rook a5, defending and attacking. I might end up losing both my f and e pawns. But as long as I keep my a pawn, everything should be okay. I guess there's a line, rook takes f4, rook takes a7, bishop takes f3, pawn takes f3. My king side kind of dissolves, but this a pawn is going to be so strong. And there's really no way for black to defend a7 here. So this is probably the best hope for black. Oh, there is a potential tactic, though, I have to watch out for. Is takes, and then if black ends up taking here, there might be tactics with rook takes bishop and then bishop check. But I'm going to have rook a8 to throw in. So I think everything should be under control. And this bishop is really nice, not only maybe helping support the a-pawn push, but also restricting the knight, defending my king. So black's in a spot where, yeah, if they win material, then it helps me simplify. This move likely coming. Okay, so my rook's attacked. I'm thinking rook d1 looks natural. I'm really like going all in with my a pawn. Rook a3 is on the horizon. This I don't think works because I have rook d4, even rook a check. So I think it makes sense just to push. And there's bishop takes h2, which I also don't think works. Yeah, let's just start pushing. I'm definitely playing in a risky fashion, but intuitively, a pawn, I think it's easy to understand that it's probably going to decide the game for me. Yeah, bishop takes h2. Oh, so black goes for this. So kind of banking on takes and then bishop d4. I think here there's a couple winning lines. I could either take, but I think I'd rather just start with this. And then take, and now there's no more fork. And black does have 4 connected pass pawns, but they're not as strong as this a pawn. Okay, maybe rook b1. Preparing this. Yeah, this is a case where it's quality over quantity. a7. Probably looking to play rook g8. Ideally, I wouldn't want to sack the rook. I could try this, but then bishop f4. Yeah, let's just sack the rook. Make a queen. It's still kind of a funny material imbalance, given all of black's pawns. It's not yet resignable for black. King f3, I get forked. So what's the safest square? Probably g2. h4 is coming. If g4, I think I just sacked the queen for the 2 minor pieces. In this case, I attack the bishop. Yeah, let's attack the bishop. I don't really care about getting forked. I more care about simplifying. And I don't think I'm even losing material because after queen e4 counterattacks the bishop. And if takes, I fork the king and knight. Okay, now it's resignable for black. So, yeah, interesting game to start the episode. I think this is nice kind of model example of this Grand Prix line. Doubling black's pawns early, getting the classic setup, going for positional play. Wow, the engine already gives +2 in white's favor here, plus 1.5. Yeah, it's just a difficult position for black to achieve much. I thought maybe c4, but the engine's actually giving d takes c4. If takes, bishop a3. Yeah, this setup is just so nice because this bishop's out of play. d6 is very weak. Knight e4 is coming. d-file is going to be in white's control. So, yeah, what happened in the game was also quite nice after c4. And it did get murky. Like maybe my technique wasn't super clean, but always felt like the position was controlled. Although around here, the engine says like black is almost equalized. Bishop h6 apparently would have been very strong. Because I can't play g3, there's bishop takes f3. If I play knight g5, then rook b4, and yeah, white's position is maybe less stable here. Okay, thankfully, opponent didn't play super precisely. Oh, but even here, the engine only gives a slight edge for white. Best move was knight e3. Ah. So attacking the rook, preparing knight g4, and if I take a6, rook a3, I would think the a pawn is going to queen, but maybe it's a little bit awkward. Like check, king g7, rook takes a2. Yeah, maybe it was possible we could get a situation where it gets hard for white to actually queen. With a rook covering, and eventually black will make way on the king side. Okay, that didn't happen, and I managed to convert eventually. So, fun game, up to 2379. Let's keep it going. I'll do another. Ooh, playing E. Kurtz. This is a well-known player. We've played actually a decent number of times from my main account. I think he goes by Mannered Monkey on Twitch. So, yeah, National Master, 2458. Let me try and do my best to manage my time here. I'm going to go for this reverse Benoni line. Pawn d4, knight c6. Yeah, this is a line I discovered maybe about 6 months ago. The idea of knight h6 is to plant the knight on f5, control the center. And I'm pretty sure here I can take and play h5. I had prepared this line for an over-the-board classical game for my tournament in Madrid back in June. But I never actually got to play this OTB. I played this a few times online. I think h4 is a move. If g4, there's h3. Specific prep is a little bit hazy in memory. I think my knight has to go back now. I mean, this is already like a very chaotic, also pretty fresh position. I think the knight wants to maneuver to g6. Might be some ideas of playing e5, open the bishop. Yeah, it's a weird situation to understand on the king side. White's expanding in the center. Have to watch out for tactics, which I don't think work because bishop e3. But do I have e5 here? E5 looks nice here. So I really want to remove this pawn and then check along the diagonal. You have takes or d5. I have check, and then like rook f2 would be forced. I'm also hitting this pawn. This is basically a double attack. d4 is attacked 3 times, only defended twice. And g4 is attacked and just not defended. White goes for knight g5, the counterattack. Can I play the counterattack with pawn f6? Yeah, it's getting very spicy. This is also maybe a move. I'll take my time here. And bishop g4, I don't think works, but also looks interesting. I mean, what does white do if I play f6? Because I'm threatening to take the knight. I just don't see a move for white. Maybe there's something, but let's go for this. Knight d5. Okay, so I could take the knight. Oh, maybe the idea is bishop takes. And white's definitely trying to muddy the waters. I'm wondering if I can take on d4 first. And then if bishop e3, I play c6. And then both knights are attacked. Take. Yeah, I'm going to go for this. I think this is just a safer approach. I win a pawn. If knight f3, I take on g4. So this knight is still kind of trapped. Bishop c4 is on tap. c6 is on tap. And this also, just pawn takes knight. Rook defends h3. This bishop is stuck. Life is, I think, pretty good here. Okay, opponent resigns. So I won in 15 moves. My opponent survived a move longer than one of my opponents in the World Rapid and Blitz. But that was, yeah, a pretty one-sided game. I think it just stemmed from white stumbling into what is probably not the greatest line. I'll have to find the exact game I'd studied. But like the main reason I prepared this back in June, I think it may have been late May, was when I played this tournament in Madrid. I was sent the pairings, and my first round opponent had a game, I think exactly in this position. But then, like a few weeks after the pairings were sent out, the person who I was supposed to play in round one dropped out. So I did all this opening prep in this line and then didn't get to play it against the opponent who I thought I would be playing. But I did stash it away for future opponents, as it did come in handy in this game. And yeah, actually the engine already prefers black in this position. Yeah, h4 is pretty much the extent of my prep. And then, okay, here, the engine doesn't like knight e7. But then it really doesn't like e5, or pawn e4, because of e5 as a response. It's actually crazy that after e5, this is already -2 in black's favor. So white should have been a bit more careful. The best move would have been knight e4 here, with a slight edge for white. And then going back here, the best move for black is knight h6, which I don't know if I would find this even in a classical game, but it does make some sense to attack the undefended pawn. And if g5, the knight can return to f5. Engine is saying knight g4 is best. Very engine-like play. The idea is to prepare e5 though, support the knight. Anyway, hopefully this is a nice example of like a new kind of aggressive line to play against the Reti. Yeah, there's not too many openings where knight h6 is justified for black so early. And also not too many openings where you can just play h5, h4 and be the title player so quickly. But sometimes it works out nicely. And yeah, the engine says black's completely winning here for pretty much all the arrows that I had shown previously. Okay, up to 2389. Let's do one more. Playing Kappa 98. Another decently high rated player. Gonna switch gears here. Play a London opening. Try and rattle off the theory pretty quickly. Knight d2 is it's a move I've played many times before. And in this position, there are a couple options for white. c3 is a more solid line. I'm going to play the more aggressive line, bishop to b5. Because there's a lot of variations where knight e5 can come and black can be under pressure. Yeah, queen b6, c4. Actually, what's the line here? I think it's c4. I have to remember my theory. Taking might also be possible. No, I'm almost positive it's c4. There are some lines where black can take, allow takes, and then it gets really messy. There's also a line where black takes here and then white plays a4, preparing this. You see bishop e7. Yeah, I'll admit I'm basically on my own now, but I do have some memories of studying similar types of positions. Castling makes a lot of sense. Taking and playing this also is interesting. Sacking this. Queen a4 ideas. Yeah, the line I'm looking at is castling, take, and then c5. Let's go for this. And this is still maybe an option, but we don't go into it. So now, yeah, I'm going to concede the bishop pair. But after takes back, pawn c5, if the queen takes on b2, I can take on c6. I'm getting this nice bind in the center. Queen c7 is off limits. I have a feeling we'll see either queen b7 or queen to b5. Queen b7, maybe I apply more pressure to c6. If queen b5, okay, it doesn't happen. Kind of dreaming of ideas of this and then this and this. Yeah, might as well start with queen a4. And there's a very clear target. Knight b3. Knight b3, there's a5. Oh, but then I take and b4 comes. I actually didn't mean to play knight b3. I think I clicked the square. Do I have click turned on? I don't even know where the setting is for click. Ah, drag pieces, okay. I've had some bad experiences in the past with, yeah, just clicking an empty square and then a piece unexpectedly moves there. So I mean, knight b3 was still, I think, my intention. But there is this line, a5, knight takes a5, queen takes b2. I don't have rook b1 because the bishop controls b1. But maybe I have this? Could get messy. There's also a5 and then bishop d2. And black is definitely the one under pressure here. Just realizing there's bishop c2 as a potential resource, which I don't think I'm too afraid of because rook fc1. And if takes, I would no longer have knight a5, but I would have some pawn storm potential, some rook lift potential, half open a file. Black is going for this. I don't think I have too many options here, actually. So let's play rook fc1. Take with pawn. So this rook is more in the game, not having moved, but a file is now half open. Knight e4 might be an idea for black. But then I have f3. Another idea for black is sometimes to do this bishop maneuver. But if the bishop ever comes to c7, it would block the rook and probably lose a pawn. I guess if bishop comes here, the knight would be pinned. So maybe I just move the bishop back in that case. I should note, another idea is to eventually play queen a6. To try and trade queens and play positionally. It might be worth defending this pawn first. Like rook c3 and then eventually queen a6. I'm feeling comfortable. Up nearly 2 minutes on the clock. Black would like to target the b file, but there's always these discoveries. So knight d7, offering the trade of knights. What if I do this now? Queen a6, because now the queen is tied down to defending the knight. I think black would be forced to take. Let's imagine takes. If bishop f6, I take rook a1, rook c7. Is it enough to be better? So queen a6, takes, f6. I wonder if I have bishop d6 in that line. Or maybe even just bishop goes back. Okay, so queen a6, takes, f6, bishop g3, let's say. The bishop's really well placed. Rook a1 is coming. e5, I just win a pawn. There's no rook b8, there's no rook c7. I'm gonna go for this. I think this is the clearest way to make progress. Maybe black has other options than taking, but taking feels like the most natural move. Knight b8 looks pretty sad. Even though it does defend and attack, I'd probably just move back. Otherwise, there's not really anything else to defend the pawn. So we'll probably see this or this. Yeah, it's a difficult spot for black. My opponent's probably thinking about like what to do after the knight trade. Because black would have everything defended, but it's just there's a lot of weaknesses that are hard to save long term. This might actually offer black better chances. Like put the pawn on a6 and then Prey. Knight b8 is played. I'm not sure if there's a huge difference between rook a5 or rook a4. I think rook a4 has some more benefits. Then bishop d8 doesn't attack the rook. Help defend d4, maybe support b4. Yeah, we might see f6 coming. If f6, probably knight b or knight to d3. Might even play knight d3 anyway. That would allow the knight to redevelop though. So let's start with this. Just apply more pressure. Still a matter of optimizing the pieces. Like if I get in a few free moves, still probably want to go for this. Rook b4 is also interesting. Prevent rook b7. The black does want to play this next. Yeah, let's go for rook b4. There's another benefit to having the rook on a4. It's to reposition, maybe eventually to b6. I might be threatening a pretty nasty combination of takes, takes, and then triple fork combined with the discovery. And generally, when pieces are placed on good squares, then tactics are bound to happen. So I'm not sure what to expect from black. Like maybe knight d7 is the best try. We see bishop d8. So can I go for this? Takes, takes, takes. It wins a pawn. Black would have to... How does black defend? Like rook a8, rook b8. And then I take, and then take, and then b4. That looks very winning. Yeah, let's go for it. Sack the rook. Very temporary sacrifice. Knight comes in. I probably just take immediately. And then b4. And now there's a pretty lethal threat of b5. Yeah, b5 right away. Looks pretty good. Pawn is pinned. These pawns about to storm down. Always have to watch out for my back rank, but black's not really close to mating me. And throws in the towel. Okay, I think that was a pretty clean game. Up to 2397. So, yeah, maybe the next episode I'll cross the coveted 2400 mark. I know a lot of people have been requesting that I sunset the speedrun and start another speedrun, which we are getting closer to. But hopefully this is a nice example of how to win at the higher levels. And it felt like some pretty convincing wins today. If we just go back and take a look at this game, yeah, some aggressive London prep. Pawn c4. I remember studying this line, takes, pawn a4, and there is a variation, queen takes d4, and then I think g3, or no. Engine actually says takes, and then takes. Yeah, this is a big mess. Then here pawn g3. And somehow this is like close to equal. But didn't go into that. Bishop e7 was apparently a big mistake. And I could have played queen a4 here, just increasing the pressure. And if castling, then c5, because I defend the bishop. Oh. Yeah, so queen a4 not only threatens to take on c6, but c5 is a massive threat. Black would already be in big trouble here. Yeah, I went for castling, a little bit timid. Still got a nice position though. And then, okay, there's a brief moment where the engine says black's a little bit better after bishop d8. Guess preparing to take if I play knight a5. And also preparing this. Opponent didn't do that. I think once I played queen a6, like everything was flowing from here. Engine prefers knight d3. Queen a6. Yeah, it gave me a nice position. So knight takes e5 was best. And the engine says black's doing fine after bishop f6. Because I don't have bishop g3. Black would force a bishop trade. And if takes, I think white's still pushing here, but it's hard to actually win anything on the queen side. So I could go after the a pawn. Black has either rook c7 or just rook b8 and counterattack along the b file. But yeah, knight b8 was quite passive, and then yeah, I got the tactic, and life was good. So I think I'll end it there. Hope you guys enjoyed the games today. If you have questions, leave them below, and stay tuned for more. I'll see you guys soon.